What's going on, everyone? Bran here from Bloody Breakdown, and today it is time to review a film that I have been eagerly anticipating for well over a year now, ever since I heard that Jordan Peele and Nia DaCosta were going to be getting together to give us what they called a spiritual sequel, which I kind of see it as a legacy sequel, just a different term for the same word in the same vein as Halloween 2018. But ever since I've heard that news, I've been ecstatic. Surely. Candyman is I can't say I'm huge on the franchise itself because I'm not really big on its two subsequent sequels. But the original 1992 film is chef's kiss. It's fantastic. So to hear that we were getting that same treatment that Halloween 2018 got, where we're going to go back to basics, back to the original, disregard those sequels. This is a direct follow-up to the original. That legacy sequel, as I think we're becoming more and more familiar with that type of film. I was really ecstatic to see this thing, and I did Friday night actually go and check out Nia DaCosta's Candyman. And I'm going to continue to say Nia DaCosta's Candyman because a lot of people seem to be confused and they seem to be thinking this is Jordan Peele's film, as in he directs it. He does not. He was involved in the writing and producing. It comes to us courtesy of Monkey Paw Productions. But no, Nia DaCosta is the director. And I'm going to keep saying that because she deserves a lot of credit for this film. So let's jump into it. If there's anything, I don't think I'm really going to be getting into anything that is necessarily spoiler territory. I'm going to be very conservative how I speak, as far as I don't want anyone to have anything spoiled for this film whatsoever. I'm going to try to be as vague as I possibly can. But I want you all to know how I feel about this film and maybe what you can expect if you're anything like me. So I guess opening up with a bit of a synopsis. I think we all know at this point in time, the film follows Anthony McCoy, who becomes obsessed with the Candyman myth, the legend, after moving into the now gentrified Cabrini Green. That's kind of the angle we got going into this. That's kind of, generally speaking, all we know walking into this film. And that's actually pretty good. I heard a lot of people say the trailer gave a little bit too much away from them. I, quite frankly, didn't pick up on some things that maybe some others did. But personally speaking, I really didn't feel that way. So that's your general plot synopsis. Let's get into what this film is really about. Before we do, I just want to really quickly go over the cast in this film. Is Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Tiana Paris, Nathan Stewart Jarrett, and Coleman Domingo. And those are probably the top four actors in this film. I think they probably have the most screen time of anybody else. And I really wanted to acknowledge them because I think all four of those actors and the actress did a phenomenal job in this movie. And that's something I'm going to get to a little bit later on. But I did want to acknowledge right off the bat, in addition to Nia DaCosta, Jordan Peele, those four actors and actresses, because I think casting did a fantastic job. But we'll get into that here momentarily. One thing I did want to talk about, and this kind of goes back to Nia DaCosta in general, is how well shot this film is. Nia DaCosta and her cinematographer definitely deserve some accolades for this. It is a very visually beautiful and unique looking film. I've heard a couple of other reviewers mention that this may be one of the best looking and well shot slasher. I guess I've kind of always considered Candyman more of a slasher / psychological thriller. But yeah, it is in that vein of a slasher film. And if you're talking about the best looking visually slasher films in the last decade plus, this has to be one of them. This has to be something that is going to be discussed in that topic. I'd be remiss to just speak on the visuals and not speak on the sound. The sound design is amazing. There are some points in time in this film where you don't see a kill, but you hear a kill, and it sounds grotesque. It sounds, what you can envision in your head is probably way worse based off those sounds than anything they could actually put on the screen in front of you. And that also brings me to the score. The score is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. There are some original tracks on the score, as well as remaking some of the old themes. I know Helen's theme is here as Music Box on the score, if I'm not mistaken. That's the name of it. Just when it comes to the eyes and the ears, this film is visually beautiful and auditorily, I guess, if that's a word, beautiful and unique. And that's just one thing I have to say right off the top. It catches me because you see so many of these, especially the same genre of film. And when you see something different and unique and beautiful and in such an interesting way, it really catches your attention. And that's one thing that I continually kept saying to myself watching this film. And like I said, I did really like the main cast. I think they did a fantastic job. Casting should have their back padded, and the actors and actresses themselves should definitely have their back padded as well. I really didn't dislike any performance in this film. I thought, for the most part, the vast majority of the characters were likable if they were supposed to be likable, unlikable if they were supposed to be unlikable. But I just really enjoyed the characters and the cast, honestly, because they each individually brought something unique and different to this film. But having said that, I have to say the script at some point leaves a little bit to be desired. And I'm going to get into more detail about that here momentarily, but I figured it was a good part to kind of add that in. The characters are great. The cast does a great job with the characters that they are portraying. But there are certain things about the script that definitely do leave a little bit to be desired, in my opinion, of course. Now, I will say this one feels a whole lot more like a sequel than any other entry in the franchise. And I mean a proper, satisfying sequel that flows from the original into its own. If you watch the original Candyman in 1992 and you really appreciate that film, but you are not really big on the two subsequent sequels that followed, this is probably the sequel for you. And even if you did kind of enjoy 2 or 3 or both of them, I still think you'll enjoy this one if you're a fan of the original. So now, kind of speaking on that a little bit, as far as it feeling like a real sequel finally to this original, I feel like this film does a really good job of building on to the mythology that the original film set in place. Respectfully, it does so in a way where I don't really feel like anything's retconned. I feel like there is the utmost respect for the source material in the movie, and even coming from the book, The Forbidden. And I feel like they do this in a way, like I said, respectful is definitely the way to put this, because they do build onto that mythology. They don't do away with anything necessarily. They take what we already have, and we start from there, from that established mythology, and we grow from there in a way that pays tribute to the original film, in a way that is respectful of the source material, and in a way that they can actually have a really good social commentary in this film. And for those who get all, tied in knots about not wanting to have anything preached to you or whatever, I don't feel like any part of the social commentary of this film is shoved down your throat. As a matter of fact, it's definitely part of the story itself. It doesn't feel forced. So for the people who always have something to say about that, I wouldn't expect any criticisms in that direction, unless you're just, trying to be that guy, right? And they do this in a way where it definitely sets up for later films as well. Another thing that really I definitely have to talk about is the use of mirrors in this film. I love the use of mirrors in this film. Now, it's nothing new for a Candyman film to utilize mirrors. I mean, the part and parcel of the story, or how you summon this particular boogeyman, does indeed involve mirrors. But I think this film one-ups its predecessor, the original 1992 Candyman film, with some of the really amazing visual techniques that are utilized by way of mirror, shall we say. From the very beginning of this film, when we're still getting the opening credits and monkey paw production and so on and so forth, these techniques are being used from then damn near to the end of the film. And there's not a whole lot I can say. There's not a lot of detail I can go into about some of these visual techniques utilizing mirrors that I really appreciated. But if you see the film, you'll definitely know instantly some of the things that I'm talking about here. It's just, in my opinion, another way that this film does a legacy sequel incredibly well. They look at the original content and they go, okay, let's not make that again. Let's take what is here, put it into the year 2021, and respectfully add on to this mythology that's already been established and is well loved. And once again, they do it in such a respectful way that you kind of can't help but appreciate exactly what it is they're doing there. I liked the connection of the main character. Quasi spoilers. Like I said, I'm not going to really do spoilers here, but if you don't want to know anything about this fucking film, fast forward like 30 seconds into the video. But yes, there is a connection with the new main character of this film to the original 1992 film. There is a connection there, and I thought that was done very well also. I like it, but I have to kind of step back and say the reveal of this character's connection to the original film kind of feels like it falls into our lap out of nowhere. I guess the best way to put it is the first and if we're looking at a 3-act, if we're dividing this thing into 3 acts, okay, the first and second acts are very well paced. They have a pace that is it's steady, but it's not necessarily a slow burn, but they're very well paced. By the time we hit especially the latter end of the 3rd act, this thing really takes off, and it's a bit jarring. It seems like there was a lot that they still had to take care of in whatever time limit they had for this movie. But I feel like definitely when things get moving, it is incredibly quick, and it feels a little bit awkward considering how well paced the first 2 acts of this film are. But at the same time, there is kind of a part of me that's like, once things are really kicking off and rolling in that part of the 3rd act, it feels a little bit more frantic. So it does kind of work on you on that level. It's a little jarring to someone like me who really pays attention to these things. But I think that, just your average moviegoer is going to look at that and go, okay, the shit is really hitting the fan now. So I don't know if I can really call that a negative or not. It just struck me as odd. But yeah, it's a little bit, you get kind of steamrolled in that 3rd act. I'll say that you're definitely, you become accustomed to a certain pace, and then boom, it hits you. So I guess it's really just up to your likes and dislikes. Another thing interesting about this movie, since we're talking about like that 3rd act and how things kind of come out of nowhere and then they're gone. There's a really confusing and unnecessary twist for our expositional character. You guys know there's always an exposition character. It can be done well. It can be done rather awfully, where they're just exposition and nothing else. This character kind of rides the fence on that, in my opinion. But I had no problem with this character up until his quote unquote twist. His twist it really does. It feels unnecessary. It's confusing. It's really out of left field. And I got to be real with you. I think that this film could have done without that altogether. I called it a Sartain moment. So if you're familiar with Halloween 2018, you may know what I'm talking about. You kind of may get the reference there. And if you've seen the film, you probably see what I'm talking about. So yeah, it just feels so unnecessary. I don't know. Now, once again, no spoilers. I'm gonna tread very lightly here, but I do have to talk about how Tony Todd was dealt with. Because we all knew going into this thing, you're gonna get Tony Todd, but it's gonna be sparse. You're gonna get him in 1, maybe 2 scenes tops. I think we all kind of knew that going in. And this is another one of the things I heard and specifically listened to other horror reviewers talk about was the use of Tony Todd and how they felt about it. And I got a lot of conflicting responses, going around and trying to figure out who all enjoyed it, didn't enjoy it. I'll put it to you like this, as far as I'm concerned. I love how he was used. Absolutely love how he was utilized. He was treated, and I saw this terminology somewhere else. It may have been on Twitter, but I really enjoyed. I think it's a fitting term. He's treated like a final boss. Tony Todd's Daniel Robitaille is definitely treated like a final boss in this film. And I'm not going to say anything else about that. I want that to be one of the big surprises, as it obviously is for the film. I want everyone to go in and enjoy that moment the way that I did. So I think the less I say about that, the better. But I got to tell you, when it happens, you're definitely going to get that fan service moment. I think it's a fantastic moment. The hair on my arm stood up whenever I saw it finally happen, because you do. I'm not going to say when it happens, but you wait a while for it. You earn it. Let's say that. So I love the final boss treatment in this film. Like I said, this film respects the original. And I think that because of that and the way that they handled it, I respect this film. Final boss Tony Todd is the best, is he not? For those that have actually seen this. What an amazing film. But I have already just blathered on here for almost 17 minutes in this thing. So essentially, I'm going to give you this. I give this thing definitely 2 thumbs up, 2, disembodied thumbs up. Let's be spooky. The season is almost upon us, is it not? I enjoyed it. I think if you are a fan of the original Candyman, you will definitely enjoy it. If you're a fan of the entire franchise, I think you'll really enjoy this. Or if you are just you just want to go check out a horror flick this week or this weekend, this is definitely one to go check out. At the end of the day, I look at a film like Candyman and I see it being almost the perfect pace for a guy like me, where it's not the quote-unquote art house horror with, Robert Eggers and things of that nature. And it's not a schlocky slasher flick. It's really dead center in the middle, where there's truly a lot of art in this film. This film really does have something to say. It's respectful to its source material, and you've still got your blood and guts. You've got a good story. You've got a good cast. You've got a strong director, and I can't wait to see whatever else she's doing next. I believe it's Marvel, something involving Marvel, if I'm not mistaken. But I enjoyed it. If you're coming here looking for my position on if you should go see this film, I would definitely say go check it out. If you feel safe going out to the theaters, check it out, most definitely. If not, check it out on VOD. I'm not sure exactly when that's going to be, when it comes out, or if it already is out on VOD. I'm not totally sure. I did venture out to the theater to check it out. One of the few movies since the Rona has hit that I've actually left my home to go check out in the theater, and it was well worth it. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. If you have seen it, go watch it again. I understand this movie is already made it was like $20-something million as of yesterday, or the day before. I'm not exactly sure when I saw that on Twitter. So it's already doing pretty well, especially in this pandemic era. And if you've seen this movie, it's definitely setting up a universe that can be followed up on. Less I say about that, the better. Go check it out. Like I said, if you haven't, if you have, go see it again. Support this film. Support Nia DaCosta. And it's a fantastic piece of film. Check it out, folks. And yeah, like I always say, I want to know what you all down below. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. No spoilers. We're not going to do that. If I see any overt spoilers, I will probably delete your comment. But if you want to talk about the film with me, if you've got any questions, what have you, drop that down below in the comment section. Also, check the description section, folks. There's some pretty interesting links down there as well to support me and what it is I do here at this channel. So with that said, that's my review of Candyman 2021. And I'm pretty sure at this point I've said his name more than 5 times. So let me fucking bounce.